Eric Jordan here with Steve Gillespie for the state championship audio of the 215-pound match featuring Mike Petrovich, a senior from South Anchorage with a GPA of 3.7. Second in double overtime last year to three-time state champion Matt Hamilton of Ketchikan, the Cook Inlet champion with a 3-2 overtime victory over his opponent tonight, Jess Hessock, a senior from Bartlett. Who was the number 3 seed. He beat the number 2 seed, Max Collins of North Pole, 3-1 in overtime. This is the only number 3 or lesser seed to advance to the state finals.
Let's go, Mike! Come on, Mike! Let's go, Mike!
As we're in our 215-pound match, wrestlers dancing, feeling each other out, a lot of respect for each other. Eric Jordan and Steve Gillespie here. It's been a pleasure bringing these championships to you.
There's quite a couple upsets today.
And we finally, was that just our first fall of the
first fall of the night? Absolutely. Of the finals, absolutely.
And in what dramatic fashion, Scott Lucas takes on, oh man, well anyway, we'll focus on this match. Mike Petrovich, a great wrestler in his own right, against Jess Hessock, who, after losing in overtime in the Cook Inlet Championship, had to come back and beat the number 2 seed, Max Collins, 3-1 in overtime to get back in this match. So Jess Hessock, I couldn't find any sign of him placing in previous state tournaments, has really come on for Bartlett High School. And but we've had it all tonight. We've had the first girl, Michaela Hutchinson, to win the state championship in Alaska and in the nation, as far as we know. We've had a 4-time state champion in Eli Hutchinson. We've had a 4-time state champion in David Weiss. And we've had a huge upset at 189 pounds, following a big upset at 171 pounds, where defending state champion Baxter went down to Byers, and then Scott Lucas with the big upset, of course, at 189 with the fall. And it's and now we have Petrovich on the bottom after a scoreless first round, and he gets his escape, as it didn't look like Hessock tried to hold him down too hard.
Well, Petrovich, he's not a stranger to finals, as he was locked into a huge final last year at heavyweight, as he bumped up a weight class to go up and wrestle Hamilton of Ketchikan. And boy, it went down to the wire in that match. Actually, overtime for the big boys last year, double overtime, and here we are once again. Petrovich finding his way right back into his natural weight class, 215 pounds, for the South Anchorage Wolverines.
Well, I really like this addition. A lot of people say they have a hard time filling the 215-pound weight class. Sitka did this year, but I love this because some of these big athletes that are about 200 and a little over 200 pounds, 220 pounds, they can get down to 215, and then that leaves the heavyweight for the even bigger boys. So I love this weight class, and of course it came after my oldest son graduated. But anyway, good action out here, but not much scoring. The only scoring is an escape by Petrovich. A stall warning now on Hessock, as he is not initiating any shots here, Coach.
No, not at all. It's just, again, it's almost like we saw in the 160-pound matchup, just kind of feeling the situation out, as these two athletes are here with 35 seconds remaining in the second period.
Well, I expect a shot here. Neither wrestler really taking any shots here to tell the truth, as they're both content to just arm wrestle. as they're still dancing. I imagine the referees are getting tired of that. Already one stall warning as Petrovich makes a shot, and they go out of bounds. We'll reset with 8 seconds left in the second period. Our score 1-0, Petrovich. And that ends the second round. Still 1-0 Petrovich, and Hessock will go down. And he's a good finisher as Petrovich tries to right him now, fighting for hand control. Petrovich, Hessock trying to come out of there. Petrovich with the knee. Hessock coming around. Hessock comes out. It's 1-1. 1:43 left in the 215-pound state final. Eric Jordan, longtime sports broadcaster from Sitka. I've even done the regional championships on radio live, if you can believe it, along with Hall of Fame coach Steve Gillespie, who understands wrestling a great deal. Privileged to bring this to you on Alaska Matt. And the wrestlers are back to dancing. Really no action here except for the escapes. No real meaningful shots by either one that I've seen so far, Coach.
I think the crowd, watching the crowd and the demeanor of what they're seeing, are still kind of in shock over that last match that we saw. And we don't want to keep reiterating that match, but and take away from what these two athletes are doing here. But just looking around, it feels like the air is just taking out of the gymnasium here at Chugiak High School. Petrovich in the finals once again, pushing and shoving. A real physical kid, this Petrovich kid, out of South Anchorage here. 50 seconds remaining here in this match. 1-1 you score, and we could be possibly heading to overtime.
Well, I was at state when McCain was ahead 3 points and got thrown to his back by a North Pole. Roberts, I think it was, of North Pole, threw him to his back with 7 seconds left. And McCain went on to be an All-American in Iowa. That was one of the greatest upsets I ever saw in Alaska wrestling history. But that upset of Jed Wade by Scott Lucas, even though Lucas had beat him, and in the dramatic fashion with the takedown to the back for the fall, has to be one of the greatest upsets in Alaska state finals history, wouldn't you say?
I think so. Gabe McMahon was a great athlete and wrestler. Boy, I tell you, and really huge notoriety here in the state of Alaska for his techniques and abilities. We're going to overtime, folks. 5 seconds remaining here. Petrovich trying to counter the shot, and time's out. Overtime, 1-1 our score.
And, of course, what happens in overtime, you got a minute to score. First wrestler who scores wins. We've been leaning on it. As our table, we had some technical malfunction as two big guys, myself and Gillespie almost went over the edge here. And we've got that corrected. We go back with 31 seconds left in overtime. Still not a meaningful shot by either wrestler. I don't think the referee in this situation is going to call stalling or anything. He's going to let the wrestler settle it, don't you think?
I think so. And you take a look at the gentleman from Bartlett. I believe he scored first in this matchup. We could be looking into a sudden death. He'll have first choice as it's 1-1 here with 13 seconds remaining now in the overtime period.
I actually think it was Petrovich who scored first. He chose down first. I think that was the way it went. So he'll have the first choice. And is that the criteria, who scores first?
Absolutely. And I got to apologize to our viewers as I've been kind of doing some technical work here. So sorry about missing about all of our scoring here. So Petrovich, he indeed chooses. He did score first. He'll go down.
Now all he has to do is escape. Hessock has to ride him for the whole period. There he gets it as he runs out of bounds and gets the escape. He wins the state championship. Congratulations. He is in 2 state final overtimes, and he wins this one 2-1. Congratulations to Mike Petrovich.